Hey guys, how you doing? It's Sean from Ridesharing101.com. Please check out the website. I have links to the Facebook group. I have the free YouTube channel with how-to videos, and I have stories about some of the more interesting passengers that I've picked up. And in addition, I have the ebook and some t-shirts for sale. And it's crack of dawn. It's really friggin' early, and it's like 3:30 or something. I don't know why I'm up, but I'm a morning person, so I use that. I get up early, even on my days off. I'm not one of those people that if you get up early during the week, you sleep in late on the weekend. I can't do that. If I get up at 4 o'clock on Thursday, I get up at 4 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday, and that's just how it is. My body's just wired that way. I was talking to somebody, I'm like, I'm basically an old person in a younger person's body, I guess. So I get up early, I go to bed early. So here we are. I'm drinking coffee, talking to you about rideshare, and I'm going to have a sip. Coffee, good stuff. Grossly underrated. Well, today on the daily vlog, I want to talk to you about babies. And this is something interesting that happened. More and more people are using Uber and rideshare. Oops, looks like I'm in the light, so I'll scooch over here a little more. I do all the videos live because I just hate editing, and I'd rather talk to you than edit a video. Sometimes it takes me a couple of takes. I just retake it, but I'm not much on the editing, so you get live with all my warts and wrinkles. So sorry about that, but that's just the way I record. But I was talking to you about people using rideshare for medical reasons, which I think is just absolutely stupid. My brother used to be a paramedic, then he became a firefighter till he was injured, and then he retired, was forced to go out on disability. One thing I know he told me is, you know how you go to the emergency room and there's always a huge line? Well, if you show up in the ambulance, you go to the head of the line. So that's something to note. If you have a medical emergency, go on a friggin' ambulance. Don't take rideshare. Please don't. I am not a trained medical professional. I'm not equipped to handle any weird emergencies that come up. So if you get into an accident, I'm not picking you up in my car. That's just how it goes. I'll call you an ambulance, no problem, but you're not getting in my car. So having said that, the other day I pull up to pick up what I thought was a guy, but it turns out it was a passenger and his wife. I think it just said like Stephen or something. So I'm like, okay, I didn't really pay attention to the number of parties. And he was very nice. He texted, he said, I sent him a message saying I was on the way, and he replied saying, I am on the south side of whatever street he was on, towards the bottom of the hill. So I knew exactly where that was. So, and I love it when passengers do that. Any information that passengers can give their drivers, and if drivers can communicate to their passengers, hey, let me know any special information that will help me. That's always greatly appreciated. So, drivers, let your passengers know it's okay to text you. And passengers, text your drivers. Well, I pull up to this apartment building, and the guy has like a garment bag and a small case and a sack. I thought maybe it was laundry, so I'm not quite sure where we're going. I haven't quite figured it out from his stuff, but we load it into the car. His wife starts to get in. He gets in, I get in. All is good. I didn't really notice the wife too much, but she seemed pleasant. I think she said hello. In fact, I'm sure she said hello because she's nice, and that I get to that here in the story. So we're driving, and I like to conversate. as they say with people. I like to say hello and, find out a little bit about who they are and what's going on if they're so inclined. So, coffee, good stuff. And I say, so, what are you up to? And she goes, oh, I'm sorry, we're not going very far, but I'm having a baby. And immediately I'm like, whoa. And I'm thinking the worst. I'm thinking that her water is going to break. She's going to like ruin my back seat, that she's going to get sick. I'm thinking bodily fluids. I'm like, oh, hell no. But I'm still in shock. I'm still like, oh, and I'm looking in the rearview mirror, like, and she goes, we're going to the hospital to induce. And then I was like, oh, because that means she's overdue, and things biologically aren't working on their own. So the hospital is basically going to induce labor and make her have the baby. So, yeah, I'm like, heart's beating. Oh, I'm starting to sweat. Like, what the heck? And she goes, yeah, we're going to induce. I'm going to have a baby. And I'm like, oh. Once I realize, my car isn't getting ruined, I say, oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. And it was a very short ride, maybe 12 blocks. And the nicest couple that you would ever meet. Very polite, very courteous. And I'm just like, oh, I'm like, oh, is this your first baby? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh. And I say, well, I wish you a very short labor. And she's like, oh, thank you. That's so nice. And then I turn to the husband, I look in the rearview mirror, and I say, and I wish you a very short labor too. And they both cracked up, and, they got it. And as we approach the hospital, they say, oh, excuse me, sir, is it going to have you drop us off on Van Ness? Because we would really appreciate it if you could drive past and drop us off on the backside at Franklin. And I'm like, sure. I'm like, yeah, you're having a baby. I'll drop you off wherever you want. It's all good. I know that you're not probably positioned to walk a long ways. And she's like, oh, thank you. That's so kind of you. I'm thinking, you're paying for the ride, no problem. Plus, I'm just a human being. So, of course, like, I'm going to make them walk. Very pleasant. And I say to the man as we approach, because we make the right turn where Tommy's Joint restaurant is. Very classic San Francisco restaurant. Great basic food. They cook a whole turkey, and they usually have like salmon. And I think last time I was there, I had the bison stew over rice. Very good, full bar. Metallica used to go there all the time when they used to practice and play in this area. So, and I tell the guy, hey, well, Tommy's Joint's there, so you can always, if the labor's long, heaven forbid, but you can always make a quick trip to the bar if you want. And they both cracked up, and they thought it was funny, and just very, very pleasant. And I say, oh, I didn't realize that this hospital was open yet because it's been doing so much work. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's only been open for like 3 days. And I go, oh, are you going to be the first baby in the hospital? And they're like, oh, no, they've already, they already induced three moms. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm like, you made it in the top 10. And they laughed, and they're like, no, it's okay. They're, this way they work all the kinks out. We'll be okay, And I'm like, wow, okay. And we're making more pleasant talk. I'm like, oh, are you having a boy or a girl? And they're like, oh, we don't want to say until the baby's born. And I'm like, oh, I get that. I say, well, is family coming? Are they on the way? And they're like, oh, no. we're calling the family afterwards. They don't know what's going on, because that's just, it's just I just want it to be us. And I'm like, okay, I got it. So I say, wow, this is your first baby. You're very well adjusted. Please keep that during labor. And don't blame this guy over here, okay? And they laughed, and it was really nice. I meet a lot of people that don't say anything. They're using their time for their emails or what have you. So it's really nice to actually get a couple that, enjoys being with each other and communicate. They're in love and the first baby's on the way and all that. So it's very nice. So I drop them off and I get them, sort of situated. They get through the door and they thank me, and, it's all pleasantries. And then there are two women there in hospital outfits, not scrubs, but they're in, they have t-shirts or they have clothing that have the logo of the hospital on it. So they're hospital employees. And they say, hey, we're trying to get an Uber. Can you be our Uber? And I get this sometimes in a place that's fairly busy. People see the logo and they're like, can you take us? I'm like, oh, no, I'm sorry. You have to do it through the app, and the app will select me or another driver. And the woman says, oh, I've been using Uber for the last couple of days, and it always tries to pick us up on the Van Ness side. And we need to be picked up out here. And I say, oh, well, one thing that you can do, coffee break. I say, one thing that you can do is just call your driver right away, or text your driver and say, I know GPS says to pick us up on Van Ness Avenue, but please, if you could pick us up on Franklin, we would appreciate it. And that's all the driver needs to know. When you send the driver a message like that, he appreciates it. He knows you're going to be waiting for him, so you're not just going to leave. And he knows that he'll make the effort. He or she will make the effort to make sure he or she finds you. So I start to pull away, and I immediately get a ping, and I accept it, and it's right at the spot where I'm at, and I'm like, okay. I put the car in reverse, I back up 10 feet, I hear the women laugh, I roll down the window, I'm like, hey, are you, say your name, she's like, yep. I'm like, hey, well, welcome. It worked. And she's like, yeah, and anyway, I dropped them off at their hotel. They were actually doing some, I think, IT work at the hospital because they were transferring everything over. And I think she told me they transferred 200 patients over by ambulance in the last couple of days because the hospital open, everything's new. They need to get everybody there. So that was very nice. They were pleasant. And it was a busy night because right after that I got a ping, and I pull up and it's a couple and they have an infant, and blessed be, they have a car seat. The baby is it's part of the baby carriage. It's in a carrier. The carrier fits into the carriage. Anyway, they just lift it up, boop, put it in the back seat of the car, strap their child in, and I'm like, thank goodness. You will not believe how many parents, especially moms, try to get into my car with an infant and no car seat. Oh, it'll be okay. I'll just hold the baby in my arms. Oh, hell no. Hell to the no. For all of you out there, this is illegal. Plus, okay, this is how I see it, so I'm breaking it down like this. If you are a parent, your sole job is to protect your kid at all costs. That's it. That's your only job as a parent. Or not only job, but that is your first job. Protect your child. Transporting your child without the proper equipment is it's a crime. Literally, it's a crime. I will not take you in my car. It's illegal. It's immoral as hell. There's no way. I'm not worried about my driving because I'm a very good driver. And one thing I noticed is they got into the car and they weren't going too far. We were going another like maybe 15, 20 blocks. But I noticed this when I was taking the pregnant couple. And this couple is, I drive differently with passengers versus small children. I'm a very good driver, but I am super extra careful when infants are involved. I'm a safe driver, but I go the extra mile when there's a small child. That's how I am. I think it's my job to keep my passengers safe, especially the children, because they're innocent. They haven't done anything. I want, let there be light. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Excuse me, folks. This is, there we go. We're live, so this stuff happens. Anyway, it's my job to take care of my passengers, and children are special because they have their whole lives ahead of them. They're innocent, and I believe you need to look out for them. That's a job of society. It's a job of parents. And when I'm driving extra careful. I'm making sure if there's any doubt, if I make a four-way stop, that I either have the right of way or I yield the right of way if I think there is going to be any kind of conflict or debate about who has the right of way. Just give it up, because I don't want any issues. I want to be safe. I want everybody to arrive safe. And that's just my thought process on that. So I drive the couple to where they need to go, and they're a great, happy couple. They've got everything sort of in sync with the kid. They know, each parent kind of knows their role. They've obviously done this before, and it was just really nice. The baby was quiet, wonderful baby, and I was just amazed because I don't usually take children, and I had sort of one and a half, if you will, or one new one and one almost new one. However you want to look at that. I'm not getting religious. I'm not interested in any kind of talk about the pregnant lady and whether you're going to count that as a full kid, or that's not the purpose of the story. So it was just nice because I don't normally transport a lot of babies, and I've had to turn down more than I've transported because they didn't have a car seat. They didn't have the proper equipment to transport their child, which I think is, as I said, I think it's criminal, because it is, but it's just, you don't do that if you're a parent. And I don't know what people are thinking. They're not thinking. And if you can't figure this out, then I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have children. Please don't have more until you get it, until you figure out what the hell you're doing, because you never transport a young child like that, an infant, without the proper equipment. So I was in a good mood. I love kids. They're innocent. They're kids, they're the future. It's their optimism. It's just plain and simple. It's awesome. So I dropped them off, and I was like, wow, it's a lot of babies, a lot of hospital people, a lot of stuff going on. And it was nice. Children always put me in a good mood, because I'm basically a big kid at heart. And some passengers are like that. They just put you in a good mood, and that just carries over. So that's all I wanted to talk to you about on the daily vlog, just about children making babies, so to speak. And I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. I'll talk to you later. Bye.